Hi, everyone. Happy Monday evening. I am Dr. Tania Farran, your host for Parent to Parent. I'm excited to be here with you tonight. In the United States, this is President's Day, so it's a day off for me. I've been able to enjoy the day and be a little more relaxed in the things that I'm doing, but I'm excited to bring to you a great topic. Before we get into that, just give me a second here and let me show you. Remember, this is my book, Raising the Well-Adjusted Child, a Parent's Manual. You can check it out on Amazon. And I also have inside my YouTube, Parent to Parent Talks. I've got excerpts of me reading the book to you, talking through the chapters with you. And I'm always available to come talk to any parent groups that you might have, any organizations, and talking about parenting. So that's a little bit about me. I can't wait to tell you about our guest tonight. We have Dr. Rachel Altvater with us tonight. She is a psychologist. She specializes in trauma-informed practices as well as play therapy. And she's diving into a new realm. I wouldn't say it's a new realm, but it's a realm she's focusing on right now with some digital wellness for children and for families. So today is Screen Sense practical strategies for family digital wellness. So welcome, Dr. Rachel, for joining. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah. So we are streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So all of you that are here, drop in your questions, drop a hello in, let us know where you are from. We'd like to learn more about you. And also, sometimes I don't see the comments, so I will go back in and so go ahead and ask any questions or comments if by chance they don't pop up on the screen here for me. So Dr. Altvater, will you tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yeah, I am a licensed psychologist and a registered play therapist supervisor. I live in Maryland. I'm licensed in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I own a group private practice called Creative Psychological Health Services. We specialize in child and adolescent mental health, and then play, art, drama, music, and other expressive-based therapies. I'm in different leadership roles in the play therapy field. I supervise, I provide trainings all the time, actually on digital play therapy, specifically incorporating digital technologies in play therapy treatment. So that is a brief little snippet of me professionally. Personally, I love sparkles and unicorns. And I have a 2.5-year-old son who might come up in our discussions today as we're talking about parenting. So I am parenting alongside of all of you and navigating new terrains and learning. Right before we jumped on, we were talking about how even as professionals, even as experts, we still are human, and we also question what we're doing, and we wonder if it is the right way. We're figuring it out too. So I just wanted to start by also humanizing, normalizing the discussion as we dive in.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that professionally and personally. Hello, Jackie. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your attendance today and being a part of this discussion. So, we were talking backstage about, as parents keeping up with the digital age, right? And that is where we are. I can tell you, my kids are in their late 20s, mid to late 20s. And when they were young, we did not have a lot of digital technology. My kids were not really big gamers. Cell phones didn't come out till they were probably in their, 10, 11, 12, and they didn't have all the capabilities that they have now. There were really no tablets, things like that. And so I didn't have to deal with all of the things that parents are dealing with. So it was important for me to talk about this because as an education professional myself, I see this a lot in parents, that this is a challenge for them. It's a challenge in their parenting, and so I'm excited for us to really get into this conversation and to just be real about it and talk about it. Dr. Altvater and I, before the show started, said, we know we don't know everything about this.
The more you know, the more you realize what you don't know.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, let's talk about that a little bit and, get into let's look at like a big picture, and then we can kind of, dissect in some other pieces. So, how would parents kind of define that healthy digital landscape for their family?
So the best answer that I love to give is it depends.
Mm-hmm.
I think ultimately it's hard for us to not compare ourselves to one another, right? We want to have kind of like the manual, right? Like kids aren't born with a manual. There are manuals, such as yours, that support in the process of parenting. And yeah, they aren't born with a manual. So we're trying to figure it out. And there are a lot of life circumstances at play here. So it depends. Ultimately, I'll give I guess a resource, the family media plan through the American Academy of Pediatrics. They have a great plan where you can add what different factors you need to consider for your family, whether it be, school, extracurriculars, whatever obligations, family traditions, or things that are important. And it can kind of spit out a recommended amount of screen time. So I'll just throw that out there. I think sometimes having those resources can be super helpful. Yeah, really, it's going to depend. If you are a single parent and you need to prepare dinner, for example, well, if your child is going to engage in play or just watching screen, then that's what you do, right? That's the balance and the time that works best for you and your family. It really is going to vary. So I think a lot of times there's the shoulds. We should all over the place. We should do this. We should do that. Or this family's doing that. Or they're doing this. And back to really try to not compare if possible and figure out what needs to occur for your family, right? What time is bedtime? Does homework need to get done? Are there extracurriculars, whatever it may be? And then what does the rest of that time look like for your family? And I recommend balancing. So balancing the screen, balancing some, traditional methods of engagement. So maybe like board games or whatever's aligned. And then also balancing some time together, whether that be within the play, which I recommend, including on the screen, or outside of play, just what you all are going to do to connect. So I know that's not really like an answer. It's an answer, but it's not, because it's going to look different. And if I give a blanket response, then we're going to have the shoulds,
And I think that is a really terrific answer, to be honest with you. So I want to say two things. The first thing I want to say is, we're not here to say that technology is bad. I'm definitely not saying that. I work by day as a virtual middle school principal. My kids are all online. I am online. I work from home. And I really, truly think we also have to teach our kids how to safely use technology, how to use technology appropriately, and so many components to it. I always tell the students that we have that they're really getting a 21st century education. They're learning how to work from home, and they're having to communicate via email and messaging and, using Microsoft products. So, and I know you're talking about littles at one point, but when as our kids transition and grow, right, we have to learn how to teach them how to do this. Yes. So we also have to be in the know of that. So I want to make that clear to people that, we should give our kids some technology every day. They should be learning some things, but I love the key that you said, alongside you, with them. So what exactly does that look like as a parent? Because I know there are times where it's really easy to hand something to a child to keep them occupied.
Yes. I actually am going to quickly take a step back, but I will come right back. I love what you just said. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You could tell I'm bursting at the seams with excitement, because yes, this is the way. The digital era is where we are. It's not changing.
It's not changing.
We have to dive in whatever way we feel comfortable with and help guide. We want to have a generation of healthy digital citizens. We want our kids to be able to navigate digital terrains in healthy, balanced, intentional, and knowledgeable ways. If we remove it completely, we are not offering an opportunity for our children to learn how to navigate this space. And I think a lot of parents and professionals at this point in time are very scared, understandably so. It is super valid, about the perilous aspects of the internet, the things that are out there that are unknown, the dark corners of the web. Yes. And it's about being aware of that. And learning how to navigate it in healthy ways, and having parameters in place on your screens, parental controls, teaching children what's out there in developmentally appropriate ways, and encouraging them to both be autonomous and independent, right? Being able to do the things that they want within the confines of the safety parameters, while also helping provide healthy limits and boundaries that are respected. If we just say, no, you can't do this at all. Like, here's a red button. Oh, I actually have one. It's a button that says, no, I have to grab it. 1 second, but I feel like this is going.
I love it.
It's the no button.
It's the no button.
Don't press it. Okay. You can't, I'm going to put it right here, but you can't press it. Okay. Okay. Great. What child is not going to press that button? What person? I want to press it. I want to press it right now, but I actually don't know what's going to come out of its speaker. So I'm going to not do that. It might not be the most appropriate, but yes, I love that. So I really wanted to emphasize that point before I actually answered your question. And it looked like you might have had something you wanted to add. So I'll pause here.
No, go ahead. You're good. You're good.
Oh, joining in on the space with your client, with your children or clients for me, but with children, being alongside them while they're engaging in what I call digital play. If they're watching something on YouTube, it's not just watching something. It is a modern method of play. It's hard for us as adults to realize that, but it is. We're not going to be next to our kids every single moment of every single day. And we definitely need to have balance in that they're doing their thing. We're doing our thing. We're doing things together, but joining in as much as possible. I know what my child watches on the screen. I know the channels that we have subscribed to. I know the videos. Now, my son is really into watching the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So I don't have to really vet a ton.
Yeah.
We watch things on repeat.
Which is age appropriate for a 2.5-year-old, right?
Yes. And he has very clear special interests. He has very clear pattern of what he wants to do. He plays alongside. He loves dinosaurs. We watch dinosaur videos. He transforms to a dinosaur. Yeah. And then I sit there, and sometimes we'll just sit next to each other, and he'll put his leg over my leg, or he'll like put his arm on mine. And so even if we're just watching something together, we are both together. Now, that doesn't mean I'm there every single time. Sure, there are times where I need to go run and do something, or like, working, and I'll say like parallel play, right? Like which is also developmentally appropriate for where he is, right? Yes. In solo play, engaging in parallel play. And that's a hard thing for younger kids too, is that yes, they interact with others, and developmentally their play style is solo, is parallel. And then it transforms to more like collaborative, competitive, working alongside one another, actually playing with one another. So yes, I think it's recognizing what your children are doing, and by actually joining in, not just like keeping a close eye and like hovering over, oh, let me, see what you're doing. It's let me join in with you.
Right. So it reminds me of when you're reading a book story to a child and says, stopping reading it and talking about what happened. And you can do that. You can pause a video and you can talk to your child about what happened. Or, and I know a lot of the young children, the things that they're watching. I think I watched a friend of mine's grandson was like watching corn rows being, plowed and he loved it. He loved tractors, and he was just watching it over and over and pausing and maybe talking about the equipment or, something like that. There's all kinds of ways that you can engage with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to say also, when you started talking about learning about that, because there's a lot of parents who are going to say, I'm not really tech savvy. Even our parents that are in their 30s, there's a lot of them that say, I'm not really tech savvy, and that's okay. There are resources available for you. So, Dr. Altvader, you'll have to remind me again of the document for the plan, for the digital plan. And then we can drop that in maybe later into the comment section, or you can send it to me on LinkedIn and I'll drop it in. But you guys, you can also reach out to, if you are part of Parents as Teachers, ask them about any digital safety programs that their school districts have. I recently just held one for my school district, for my middle school students, and had the county sheriff's department in. And they went in and they came and talked to our parents about all sorts of things. And they have things that you can go to. So you can go to them during the day. They have scheduled times. They give you iPads and apps, and you can try different things and learn all about them so that you are aware of the things that your children are on, the sites they're on.
And learning to the extent that you're able from your child. They want to tell you the things that they're learning and what they're exploring and their passions. They want to. So I know that there are going to be blind spots for them, and there's going to be some things that we need to help guide them, through. And what does your child know about this? How are they viewing these spaces, the play? What do they want to tell you about it? And that actually even takes me to another response to the question that you were just asking for older kids too. Game with them, engage in co-play. So if you have a child who loves Minecraft, play Minecraft with them, have a special play time and just join in and learn. It's okay to stumble through. There are so many times that I game with my clients in my sessions, and I'm like, I don't know what is going on. I'm not good at both games. There are some things I'm good at. I'll take ownership, right? We're not going to be good at everything. We're not going to understand everything. And a core principle of play therapy is meeting children where they are. And it's not just play therapy. This is for kids, but something that is of primary importance for my work as a child psychologist, as a play therapist, is to help children feel seen, heard, understood, valued, to lean into their perspective, to make sense of what is going on psychologically for them to the extent that I'm able. Now, I'm only going to be able to really understand from my perspective, but how much can I try to really lean into the child's experience through the way that they're playing? And I think the more that you as a parent dive into these play spaces with your children, the more you can start to see. You don't have to have a trained eye to know every single thing that's going on. Pay attention to how they're interacting with others, how they're navigating the space. Are they, dealing with frustration, tolerance in regulating ways where they can stay calm, or are they getting really upset? There's a lot of times that kids get really upset when they're getting off the screen too, and then parents are like, "Oh no, my child's addicted." If you are in the middle of reading a book and you're at the juicy part, whatever that is for the genre that you like, and then someone says, "You're done now," how would you respond? You'd probably be pretty upset. So oftentimes I'll also make sure that when we're ending, to give a warning. Now, my son does not know what 5 minutes, 10 minutes means. He hasn't learned that yet. But I will say, we have 10 more minutes. We have 5 more minutes. He gets upset. I get on his level. I validate. It is really upsetting for you to stop what you're doing. You really want to do this. It's time for us to go to bed now. I understand why you're upset. We will come back to this tomorrow. He still is upset, but he will regulate quickly, and then we go to bed. Now, I'm not going to say this is going to happen for every child every time. I'm just saying if we lean in, see our child's perspective, give them warning, it'll be a smoother transition. So just a little nugget to throw in there too.
And you're right. And that's kind of about everything that you do, right? You don't want someone just taking something from you or turning the channel on you if you were watching TV, or taking your plate if you weren't finished eating. Like, wait a minute, I'm not done here, right? But if you knew you had a certain amount of time left to do that. So I love that. You saw me digging into my book here, because I do have a chapter on I do have a chapter on digital citizenship. Well, not really digital citizen, navigating technology. Okay, so, different things to do as a parent navigating technology. But the thing in the back of my book is you shared a plan, but in the back of my book, there's discussion questions for every chapter. And so some of the questions are, how are you limiting your child's time on a device, and create a plan to decrease your child's screen time. There are a lot of teenagers who are on the screen a lot. And so how do you do that? How do you talk through that with them? How would you instill and implement a device detox? That's one of the questions, and it has a little more detail to it. How are you supervising your child on social media? How is that working? Does it need improvement? Share a time that technology created an issue for your child. So these are just great ways to really start thinking about that. Describe how to help your child if they're being cyberbullied. Create a plan and talk to your child about it. And then how would you talk to your child about predators on the internet? So those could be so many different things, but it's a great starting point for parents to start thinking about it. And I always say with my book and the things that you're talking about, because we've talked about the 2.5-year-old, the middle schooler, the high schooler. And, these questions you have to keep going back as a parent, because the 2.5-year-old's not necessarily on social media, but I bet the 10-year-old wants to be, and probably the, 13-year-old for sure is, even though they're not supposed to be legally by the term of Facebook or TikTok, but we know that they are. And so how are we making those plans and talking to them? So
and collaborating. Collaborate with your kids. They want to have a voice.
Yes.
And I think it's going to also help them lean into what you're suggesting even more when they feel like they have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
If you're
Like
making a plan,
you can go through these questions with your 8-year-old, 10-year-old, and have this conversation with them. Like,
yes.
I'm feeling like you're on the screen a lot more than you need to be. I know that I'm not home during this time, and having that discussion with them, having them be a partner in making that plan is going to make it far more effective, especially when they understand.
Yes.
They understand your why. Why are you doing
Yes.
this? Are you just trying to be mean?
Right. Exactly.
What is the reason behind this? And you better have a good one. I'm just going to say, as a parented teenagers, you better have a good one or a good reason why, because you're going to probably lose.
And encouraging them to engage in introspection. So for them to reflect, how do you feel? Like, let's be honest here about it, right? Like, how are you feeling when you're scrolling? Right? Like, I feel numb. And there are some times where it's helpful for us to engage in a very intentional, avoidant coping skill to numb in healthy ways for our mind and body. That's not bad. It's helpful. It's helpful for self-preservation, for us to keep ourselves protected and safe. And when you engage in a numbing, healthy for your mind and body, which I know sometimes screens can't be when we engage too much, or not can't be, but aren't. But we want to make sure that we are ultimately being super intentional with connecting to our minds and bodies and being aware of how we're feeling, and to be able to proceed honestly. I started to come back to what I was saying. With the avoidant technique, we always want to come back and engage in a cathartic technique. So catharsis is feeling your feelings. So if you are doing something to numb, to intentionally just kind of zen out, and you know that, and you're being aware of that, and you're reflecting internally on that, and then when you get to a place where you can talk with your family, or as a kid, right? Or you talk with your child, or talk with a therapist, or engage in sports or whatever, right? Release some of those experiences in a healthy way. That's part of the balance. But as I started to say, we want our kids to also be aware of their minds and bodies. I want my son to be aware of his hunger cues. I don't want to just feed him because you need to eat this time, and this time, because that's what some arbitrary calendar says. It's listen to your body. Now, Jen, let's also be real. Toddlers just kind of want to do their own thing and don't really have the full ability to listen to their bodies and communicate and do the things that they want all at the same time. So they're learning. But anyways, I just think it's important for us to make sure that we are helping our kids just be more aware of their experiences. And that's, I think, all part of that healthy digital citizenship. It's not just what we do on screens. It's also how we're feeling on and off screens, and then using that as a gauge to help us.
Mm-hmm. I do. I agree with that. What are some boundaries that you think that families should, or could, I shouldn't say should, could put in place to sort of create some non-tech family time?
Something that I've recommended to families is to have like a special family time once a week, and that each family member takes turns choosing the activity.
Oh, I like that.
So let's say it's a family of 4, just for ease of math.
Sure.
And we have throughout the month, each parent gets a week, and then each child gets a week, and then it just, refreshes again. And then each person has the ability to do something that they want to do with the family, which is pretty cool. You could always go, things don't have to cost like money. You don't have to go out and do things. So I'll provide a suggestion, but we can also figure out other things. But I'm just thinking like going to Target is something. I'm just like, there's a whole game wall. Like, what are some things that look fun for us?
Yeah.
Again, and expect that everyone's going to go out and buy things. You don't have to do that. And, or you could get a deck of cards, and then each week someone chooses a different game, like learns a different game. I'm not sure. Like, again, just different fun things. At the playground this summer, there was a family. It was just Lennox, my child and I were at the playground, and a family came and they just played a game of tag. And it was so sweet. They just ran around, and then my child already says name Lennox. Lennox just thought he was a part of it, which was so funny. So he was like running around, had no idea what he was doing. And then they were like tagging him and he's like standing there. It was really sweet. But you could just go outside, right? And enjoy nature together, or go for a drive somewhere, or, experience new things together. And I do think it is good too to game together. I know that you were specifically asking about off screen, but I do think incorporating that as part of the balance could be helpful.
Sure.
Too.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's kind of funny. My daughter's in their 20s. I have said this already before, but one of them just recently got one of their old Nintendo games, and they got together to do that. And it was really kind of a fun, sweet reunion for the two of them. They were playing Cooking Mama together or something just yesterday. And it was a sweet little reunion. Like, they made an effort to get together to do that. So there are positive things that can come out of that, is my point with that. And I do agree, and there's some things that, parents can set some boundaries. We always had the boundary of no phones at the table. And that was just it for anyone that came to our table, that when we were at the dinner table, we were visiting with one another. If you had to take a call, like if there was a friend over that was waiting for their mom to call to pick them up, they could get their phone then, or something like that. But that was kind of just an unwritten rule. And we still keep to that to this day. And it's really nice.
Yeah.
You're having real, true FaceTime with one another, and it's 20 minutes every day. No phones at the dinner table, which included us as adults. That meant us. That meant put ours away too. And, and which is hard, because that's another whole conversation as parents. Remember, we're modeling this behavior. So if we are wanting, right, a certain behavior out of our kids, we too have to do that behavior as well. We can't be gaming and screaming at the game, the system, and being mad because we were out, or whatever may have happened in that system. We have to use our positive, kindness with our gaming as well,
Yeah, absolutely. I love they bring up modeling, because that's a really essential aspect, one of the most essential aspects.
Our kids are always watching us.
Mm-hmm.
They're always watching how we're acting, how we're reacting, what we're doing every day, how we handle adversity when it comes to us. How we communicate with one another.
It's okay to be on screens around your kids too. Balance, right? Like if your child's trying to talk to you and you're just staring at the screen and completely disengaged, well, that's of course going to impact attachment and connection. And it is realistic for your child to come home and need to do homework, and you to maybe have some side projects that you're working on, or whatever it is, right? So like, it's okay to normalize. Sometimes we're going to have our screens together. Sometimes we're going to connect together off of screens. It's balance. Some days it's going to be no screens. Some days it's going to be fully screens. Like, it's all balanced within.
It really is. And communication, that is the piece, the communication. And so you have your phone in front of you and your child is talking to you. I'm going to be with you in 1 minute. I need to answer this text. Then I'll put my phone down and I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to pay attention to what you're saying.
Yes.
And that's important, right? Give me 1 minute. I'm going to get this finished. And then you stop and you pay attention to them. They will respect that. They will take that time to pause. They will give you that time. Even now, if I have a daughter that wants to come over and I'm working on something that I need to do, I'll say, you're welcome to come. I have to work for 30 more minutes. And then I will be able to give you my full attention. That's what our kids want from us. They want their full attention, full attention.
I think that's one of the biggest pieces, the biggest struggles, I should say, is why there is so much concern about screen time and relationships. Is I think because of this piece right here. It's not the actual screens themselves, although I know sometimes content consumption would benefit from being shifted. I think it's the disengagement.
Yeah.
It's the lack of communication. It's the lack of connection. While that's not the intention, that's what's happening here. Yeah. If Lennox, let me text real quickly. I'm like, usually I'm texting dad real quick. We're trying to figure out dinner. I'll then show him my screen and I'll see, I'm texting. I mean, he doesn't know, but I'm showing him, I'm including him in the process as well.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. Well, we are just about out of time. I want to give everybody an opportunity to find where they can find you. I know we talked at the beginning that you're looking to build this parent group. Will you talk about that for 1 minute, as well as how people can get in touch with you?
Yes. So I will say the best way to get in touch with me is it's my Beacons page. It's like a link tree for those who are familiar. Sometimes people are a little bit more familiar, but basically it's just a website that has linked all my socials and ways to just access me and the things that I'm doing. So I will say that. Yes, I am working towards intentionally building a community on social media. Right now, I just have an Instagram, but I will be working probably on TikTok as well. I'm slowly building, but it's called Digital Playroom on Instagram. And I'm going to start putting out content for parents on finding the balance, on, screen concerns, building a community also so we can all lean on one another because everyone's experience is different. And I find a lot of value in learning from one another. So to be continued. That will be happening this year, and then I eventually will be starting a coaching program for parents as well. But we will get to that when we get to that. For now, it's just building community.
I love that so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Altvader, for joining us today, for being a part of Parent to Parent. We hope that we added some value to your day, and I appreciate you for being here. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.